Hello and good morning, CTS267 section 840 students for the spring 2017 semester at Anne Arundel Community College. This is the CCNP TSHOOT course, and this video tutorial, remember at the end of the Challenge 13 Bank of Polona, we were seeing some really bizarre behavior with IOL, which is the virtual platform on which these exercises are being run, and VRRP. Specifically, VRRP was reporting that it was coming through, right, or the virtual address was showing up on switch 1 on the Ethernet 01 port, but all traffic, when you would trace, would shoot out to the 192.168.0.254 address. So you can see here, and if I were to trace out to, let's go to 3.100. Even when I trace to 3.100, which we're not going to be able to reach because of the redistribution problem, but you can see that we're now going to router 1 like we should have. And so you're probably wondering, well, what did you do to fix it? Well, all I did was completely reload all the configs, exit all the way out of the activity, come all the way back into the activity, and now everything is fixed. And so in this supplement, I just want to cover the track statement that we had talked about, and let's get that set up again, right? So we were noticing that if on router 1, when I come over here and I go into global config and say interface Ethernet 01, and I shut that interface down, and remember that's the interface that's facing the HQ router. So VRRP is still going to think that this is the master router, right? You can see my priority is 110. That's me. The local router is the master VRRP router. What about router 2? Does he think that the master router is still router 1? And he does, because there's the master router's listing with the priority. And again, I've even shut down this uplink interface, which is the interface leading, and my pin tool has gone over here. So I've shut this interface down here, and then we talked about that the traffic flow is PC1 comes up to switch 1. Remember, the VIP MAC address is showing that that is the exit port. So we go this way. We get to router 1, and OSPF is running, so then I know that I'm going to have to come back this way, right? And so you'll remember I shut OSPF down to see if maybe I was basically trying to figure out what the bug could be. And so we make that first hop resolution protocol, right? That FHRP, which is VRRP. We see the MAC address telling us, hey, come to router 1. It's the master, but then router 1 gets the traffic. OSPF was running here, now it's not, so router 1 knows, oh, loop it back over to router 2. That's the only way that I have to get to it. So we need OSPF running here in order to facilitate that, and we've got an adjacency between router 1 and router 2. The problem is that VRRP, unlike HSRP, has no native interface tracking, so we've got to do an enhanced object tracking. It's pretty straightforward, right? It's just track 1 interface, and we're tracking the line protocol. But it's going to resolve this issue where the VRRP VIP will swing from router 1 over to router 2, and then it'll be the router 2 MAC address that shows up here, and it'll say, yeah, come out Ethernet. I shouldn't say router 2's MAC. It'll be the virtual MAC, same virtual MAC, but it will be associated with router 2 because it will be the master VRRP node. And so let's get that working here, because it always bothers me when the exercises don't do what I'm anticipating that they should. So let's come back over here. Let's go ahead and say no shut. We'll bring the interface back up. Let everything run as it should. We'll exit out, and we'll simply say track 1, interface Ethernet 01, line protocol, right? So we just created an enhanced tracked object. Let's get into interface Ethernet 00, which is where we're running VRRP. Say VRRP track 1, and then what are we going to do if that line protocol goes down? Let's just keep it with decrement 30, right? So let's say do show VRRP, and you can see here, track object 1, the state is up, so as long as it's up, we're not going to decrement our priority by 30. We leave the priority at 110, but when I go back into interface Ethernet 01 and I say shut, and we allow this to shut down, and there it goes, do show VRRP, you can see what happened. We decremented. It's down, so we decrement by 30, so now our priority is 80. So we are no longer the master. Who is the master router? It's 254 with a priority of 100, and we know that .254 is router 2. And you can see here, the local router is the master router. So the final check, well, one of the last two final checks is this port, right? We should see that virtual IP MAC address for VRRP, or I should say the virtual MAC address for the IP, should now get flipped over to Ethernet 02. And it does because router 2 is now the master VRRP router. And this is how things should work. So now when we trace, when the interface is down, we shouldn't go up to router 1 and then swing back through to router 2. Traffic should naturally go to 254. And this was what we were seeing. This is what we couldn't fix before, is that it was going to 254. And actually, we're going to 3100, which we're not going to be able to hit. So let me go to something we can get to here. We'll say 2200. 2.200. So we were going to 254 and 222, right? But that wasn't what we were supposed to be doing. We should have been going over to 253 and then the, I think it's 111.1 address. So now let's make sure that it works. We'll come back to router 1 and let's say no shut. And so we'll do a do show VRRP. Whoops, VRRP. So again, you can see we transition to the master for the VRRP group. Let's confirm that. Yep, everything's good. Priority is 110. And so the local is the master. Let's come back to switch 1. So the port out which we see that MAC address should be Ethernet 01. And why is it doing that? There we go. So show MAC address table. So fantastic. So it's switched. I come back over to PC1, and now let's trace again. And we should go to 192.168.0.253 and then to 111.2. So again, we were right when we were troubleshooting this. The problem wasn't a misconfiguration issue. It was simply a bug with IOL. And again, when you get those bugs, the best thing to do is to simply exit out as such, right? I actually did a reload config all, exit it out, and then click Continue Lab and went back in. All right. So again, a quick supplement. Just want to make sure that we're clear that it was a bug and that that is how VRRP is supposed to function, not as we saw it in that first video where we were struggling with bringing it back online and getting it to do what it should have naturally done. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you Thursday night.